I believe we are now live. Hello, everyone. Oh, now it says we're live. I guess. Oh, well, I messed that up. So, hello, everyone. We're live. Hopefully, technology is cooperating with us today. I'm afraid to open a window with the live chat and suck up some bandwidth. So, I'm just going to open that up on my phone and silence everything for you guys here. So, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Let me mute this really fast. All right, cool. I'm super prepared, as you can see. So I have today as a guest my friend Mark from Fit and Fire. I've been on his channel before. He is an excellent speaker. He has a really great channel. So everyone say hi to Mark. And Mark, I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself, let everyone know a little bit about who you are, what your content's about, all of that fun stuff, where they can find it.
Sure, absolutely. So my name's Mark. I'm an Aquarius. I don't like long walks on the beach because sand sucks. All right. If you spend 2 years in the Middle East, you'll find that sand gets everywhere and it never leaves. And that's why I hate the beach now. So plus I'm not a big fan of salt water. So,
Oddly, you are like the third person to say that to me about sand getting everywhere within the last like 48 hours. It's
wow.
really bizarre.
It was meant to be for me to be on your channel. So, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm in a goofy mood today because it is Friday, and I am kind of a bachelor today. So the baby girl is with grandparents. My wife is deployed. So I've got the YouTubes and I've got Xbox later on tonight. So I'm excited about that.
Nice.
But you can find me on the YouTubes. I am on there as Fit and Fire. So you can type in fit space N space fire or fit apostrophe N fire. One of those two should get you to where I'm at. So you can also find me on Instagram and the Twitters as well, and Facebook as well. So I'm all over the place. And it's just one of those things that I've kind of just stumbled into. I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later, but yeah, so that's me.
All right, cool. It's funny. I'm not a bachelor because that'd be weird because I'm not a dude. But
You'd be a
Fridays,
bachelorette.
my Fridays are D&D, which is super cool.
Ooh,
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah. So are you a 17th level paladin?
No, so I was a 6th level rogue, and then the healer in my party didn't take healing spells, and I died. So I just had to create a new character. We're starting, the DM's having me start at 6, so I'll be like everyone else. So I'm gonna be a 6th level ranger, and I'm gonna give that a shot. I got some like spiky maces that I'm gonna fight with. Everyone in the chat is probably like, what the hell? What is this?
I know, right? That's hilarious. That's awesome. So Andrew says, why am I so sweaty? Because I just got done watching Cops, okay? And then I have to say a huge hello to one of my besties in the chat. Besides Andrew is Ashley. She's rolling around in there. She's on the Instagrams as the Angel of Verdun. Pretty sure she could kick my butt any day. So good to see you, Mark Spivey and the Grim Reaper and Ghost Tacticals in there too.
Wow, you're a lot better at this than I am. So is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to like go through and say hi to people?
Well, technically, I'm taking over your show. I'm sorry. It's your show. You do whatever you want.
I'm obviously not as good at this as you are, but I mean, this is my second time with a guest. So let's see. So wait, the names disappeared. Oh, wait, no. Okay. No, they're back. So this really weird thing happened last time where my chat went completely black and I could only see the names. And for a second, it just went completely black and I could only see the comments. But we have Tim Allen. We have QQQ1 is in here. Hello. Joseph Crackle. I don't know how to say it. Oh, these are all some of my regs. We have John Miller. Hello. Mandatory Carry. Samuel Hill. Wow, there's a lot of you guys here today. Trashman4444, I always laugh when I read your name, is here, and he says, dolls on the ball. I'm trying to be, guys. I have to admit, I'm also, so you're in a goofy mood. I'm kind of in like a weird, like jittery, sweaty mood myself, and I don't know if I'm nervous or I'm really, really over caffeinated. I've had like 5 cups of coffee in the last 3 hours. So that could be part of the issue. Not everyone needed to know that. Tim Allen, I might have said that already. Oh my goodness, so many people. So hello to everyone. B. Griffin, I know I see that name a lot in my comments, and I always notice it because I dated someone whose initial was B, last name Griffin, when I was in high school. And every time I see it, I like to do a double take, kind of like that.
Yep.
Anyway, so, all right, so let's get into things.
I have to butcher one name here real quick because they asked for it. Besides Dave Matthews David Matthews, and his ants are marching. But hypoluxia. That I can never pronounce it. So please massacre my name like Mark does. So there you go. So I did it for her.
So, one of the burning questions, I suppose, would be, how did you get into, well, I guess first, how did you get into shooting? Is that something you were always into? And then how did that translate into showing up on YouTube and all of the social medias, the Twitters and Instagrams?
So I've been around firearms for a very, very long time. I had a father who, collected firearms. He was a firearms collector. So I got to see some really rare things. I got to, in the 90s growing up, I got to see things that were pre-ban, that was the buzzword around 95, 96. Oh, check out my pre-ban AR-15, or
it's still the buzzword in Massachusetts.
Oh, so my dad would take us to the range, indoor range, maybe like once a year, and I just had this yearning to shoot. I just loved it. Being a Nintendo generation kid, growing up with Contra and all those other awesome games, I just loved the idea of cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians and Starship Troopers and all that stuff. I just loved it. So the natural progression was for me to join the Army and do some more pew-pewing. But then I decided, I've seen enough war movies that I'm not too sure I want to walk around just on foot with a gun. So I decided to get on tanks and have get into a armored vehicle to help protect me. At that time, I was already a dad. I had my son at a very, I would say, kind of quote unquote young age. I was 20. So when I joined the military in 2000, so I would have been 22 at the time, which would have been pre 9/11. I got to see pre-war Army, which was really cool. Yeah.
I kind of feel like we're never going to see that ever again.
I don't think so either. So yeah. There we go. Right there. Oh no, he's a tanker, 19 kilo, death before dismount. You bet your bottom dollar. And Ashley, she's a walker and a shooter too. So yeah, she's pretty BA. So anyway, just got into that, and then I decided in 2013 that it was time for me to wrap up shop in the military and come home. At that time, I had my daughter. My wife and I had our daughter, and more and more questions were coming from the family. When are you coming home? When do we get to see grandma? All this other stuff. So we decided to get out of the military, come home. We spent 2 years at home, and then my wife got a job at Fort Riley as a civilian, the Department of the Army civilian. I got a job up in this area too, and then she got pulled back into active duty, and then deployed to Afghanistan. So that's kind of where we're at now as far as personal life.
Wow.
As far as the YouTube thing, I was bored. I think realistically, honestly, I was bored. I just needed something to grasp onto like I had in the military. You know, there's this
Mhm.
camaraderie in the military. You're always doing something. And I got into civilian life and I'm just like, man, I want to go shoot or something. And surfing around in the chat room, my buddy Drew, he and I just reconnected. When I got back to Wichita, we reconnected and he really kind of pushed the Second Amendment kind of agenda on me in a good way, and really kind of got me spun up on the political aspect, the idea of always being ready to protect yourself and taking court training and stuff like that. And then finally, I was just like, you know what? I'm watching these guys do this YouTube thing. I think I could do it too. So I reached out to a friend who had, well, a new friend on Facebook or YouTube. Can't even speak. I think I'm having a stroke.
Please don't do that. No, I mean, it would make an exciting show, but then
Yeah,
it would get really awkward.
yeah. So anyway, I reached out to a YouTuber and asked him a few questions, and he's just like, "Look, dude, if you want to do a YouTube channel, just do it. Get your first video out, and as soon as you get your first video out, immediately get your second video out. The first two are always going to be the hardest, and you're going to look like an idiot. Don't worry about it. Just keep trucking." And that's what I did. And almost here, 2 years later, I'm still trucking. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's really nice though that you had someone that you could reach out to and that answered you and gave you some pointers. Because I'm thinking back and I'm like, man, I just like hoofed it myself. I didn't
Hmm.
talk to anybody. I didn't do any research. I didn't really even watch really any other YouTubers until I was doing research to set up my Patreon. Because like for Patreon, I would do research, but not to start a channel. I don't even know. And I actually even like I don't know, there was all this I messed up with like setting up the account and like the email and had to switch a whole bunch of things around and sit around and wait. And it probably just would have been a lot easier to ask someone about it.
Yeah. Uh, and that's been kind of the lucky thing with me is when I got started, it took me, I would say, probably about 4 months before I had a YouTube video that really kind of took off.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why is because I had such a good, I would say, kind of mentor, and he kind of showed me what he had been doing. He's incredibly smart. And he just gets it, you know. And he was pretty small too. He was like at only maybe 3,000 subscribers when I talked to him, but he quickly blew up right after that.
Mhm.
So
Wow. Yeah, I think my first video that did really went much of anywhere was my Why I Carry a Gun video. And it was funny because at the time that was the only one that I didn't plan out. It was about the creepy van man that was following me around my neighborhood. And I
right.
just, I was like, I had a YouTube channel and I had put like 2 videos on it over the course of like, I don't know, 6 months or something. And I was like, oh, well, I have a video camera now. Maybe I should just make a video. And I remember I was actually standing in my backyard holding like a Sony Handycam in front of me and just like rambling into it. And I know like one of the neighbors like came out and was just like walking down the street and like looking at me like, what the? And I was just like, ignore me. Yeah. Anyways.
Nice. So it was funny. I've got some neighbors that are really big supporters, and when I first started my channel, I was really like robotic and stiff, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Hey guys, thanks for swinging by. I really appreciate it. So this is what the channel's about." And my neighbor's like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing? That's not Mark. Mark is always animated and has funny jokes and yeah, so whatever."
Well, I started out thinking that I was just gonna like be a newscaster, or the idea that I had was the old Weekend Update from SNL. I mean, I guess not old, but when like Norm Macdonald did it, or who was after him? Colin
Yeah, Colin Klein, Colin, yeah, I know.
somebody.
Yeah, Colin. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I had in my head. So I also was very stiff, but I was also like in front of construction lamps or had like was squished under a table lamp, and obviously things are a little more different now. But so have you found, so I mean, you've been doing the YouTube thing for 2 years, and it is getting progressively more and more unfriendly for conservatives, for gun YouTubers, obviously. And I'm not even talking about the newest stuff going on with Crowder and Carlos Maza. I have a separate video coming out for that you
Good.
guys better watch, because
Yes.
I was late to work today to record that. But I mean, I know that there's been the emails that have been going out even before this to channels, and I had seen one go out. I've spoken about this on here before, to a Black woman who runs an NRA channel. And I mean, she's small, like 5,000 subscribers or something last time I looked. And then I was really surprised to see that you got an email.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell everyone about like that email? And I mean, well, yeah.
So that email was what happened. I was having a great day, right? And this is how you get bad days.
YouTube ruins days.
Yes, it was. It totally ruined my day because I had just picked up my daughter and we went to dinner. She had just aced one of her geography tests to name all 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
She named them all and she got them perfect. And I'm like, baby girl, yes. And I made a big deal about it. And I said, we're going to Texas Roadhouse. And she's flipping out and, having, loves Texas Roadhouse. So she was excited. So we went out and I'm just, waiting for dinner to come out. And I look out at my phone and I get an email from YouTube. And I'm like, this isn't a subscriber update or something. And I look at it. And
my stomach drops every time I see I get an email from them. I'm like, what's it going to be?
Yes. So I looked at it and it says, you are now no longer eligible for super chats. And I was like, well, that's not surprising because sometimes when I have Tyler from Tundra Tactical, things get a little out of hand on my live chat. So, okay, I guess.
As an aside, when I announced this video, someone actually commented and was like, yes, I hope when it's like with Thunder Tactical. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I bet it's an interesting story.
So, and then I was like, okay, whatever. I put it down and I was like, that sucks, but all right, whatever. And then I picked it up to read it again. And there was another email. And so I clicked on that one. And that's when it says, our professionals have reviewed your channel and have decided that you have violated our terms of service and have been demonetized. So I was like, what the okay, whatever. But I started reading into it and it said that my channel is of harmful nature and that it directly links to firearm websites, which is patently false. I don't do either.
Okay.
There's 4 websites that I link to. My website, which is fitandfire.com. If you guys are interested in finding a good deal, you can swing by there. But no, seriously. So it's my website, Facebook, Patreon, PayPal, and then my Revolutionary Patriot page. Revolutionary Patriot is a apparel company, and they have a shirt for Fit and Fire, and that's it. Those are the only links.
You've got merch. I really need to get on.
You should, yeah. Oh yeah. So, but anyway, so those are the only ones. Now, then all of a sudden, all of these other larger gun channels started coming out and talking about demonetization because it was of the gun channels. The Daily Shooter was one of the biggest ones. He was like 169,000 subscribers. And then there was another one that was around the 50,000 mark. That was Jarhead 6. Another one was a little bit less than that. Harleywood, I think, myself, right around the, at that time it was about 13,000. And then there's another guy, I can't remember where he was at. So it was kind of spanning of the mid-tier to lower channels. And all of these other gun channels are like, oh, it's because they linked manufacturers, gun manufacturers into the thing.
Well, I remember when that new policy came out. I don't even remember when it was at this point, because like 2 days is like a century in internet years. But yeah, I remember when that policy came out, and I was thinking of all these channels that review guns, and I was thinking of like Iraq Veteran, as for the really, really big ones. And I'm like, what are these guys going to do for their
Yes.
channel?
So I took a lot of the tactical toolbox advice, and I migrated everything out of all of my comments and put it over onto fitandfire.com. That is a third-party website. It's not direct sales. It's a bypass basically.
Okay.
And so in order for, say, if I'm talking about a product, right? So if I'm talking about my Kevlar up here, I can say, hey, this is from brownells.com, but I can't link to it. So swing by my website and you can check it out there. And
That's a good idea.
right. Well, ever since all of this has happened, and there's been all of these larger YouTube gun tubers come out and talk about it, they're like, well, it's because they've put Optics Planet into their description of their videos is one of the big perpetrators. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't do that.
Right.
I haven't done any of that. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I may have linked in would be like Olight or something like that,
Oh no.
a flashlight company, right? But since there was a gun on their website, that's probably one of the reasons why. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, that's been kind of the thing. I have the opportunity to reapply for monetization here in.
Ask because I know that for some people they're like, oh, well, if you follow these steps, like we'll reconsider it.
Yes, that was exactly it. So I can reapply on Thursday. So that'll be 30 days, and we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm going to reapply immediately. I'm going to give it another little bit because I want to see what's going on with my videos and see what the algorithm does.
That was going to be my next question. I was going to ask, because I've seen a lot of people, not just like gun tubers, but regular conservatives. I've seen it myself, so I don't know if you've seen it, that like especially the last like month or two, the algorithms just like tanked.
Yes.
Did you okay, so you saw that too.
Mm-hmm. So I've got 2 videos that came out last week that have been performing fairly well for my channel. Within the first week, it's getting it got a couple thousand views on it, and so it looks like one of my videos may be starting to get pulled into the algorithm because it's up to 3,300 views, and that's the Palmetto State Armory's AKV, which is a 9mm version of an AK. And
Cool.
yeah, it's a lot of fun to shoot. Man, I had a lot of fun with that. And so that one seems to be performing fairly well. Tactical Toolbox says that there's 2 different types of algorithms. You have the monetized algorithm, and you have the non-monetized algorithm. And he says that the monetized algorithm obviously makes sense, that YouTube will push and recommend.
Sorry.
Yeah, I see what you did there. But the monetized will get pushed and recommended.
Mm-hmm.
The non-monetized will get pushed and recommended as well, but it's in 2 different forms. It's 2 different avenues,
Okay.
right? That's what he says because he's tested it on his channel, and some of his monetized videos have not got very many views at all, and others that have been demonetized, or not. He didn't monetize them, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to think. I'm not smart enough to understand any of it, but we'll see what happens. Pete Griffin, Niet rifle is fine. I love that. So anyway, so yeah, it's frustrating right now, but I'm just going to keep on rolling. I've got a lot of support, not only from my community, but from a lot of other people as well, you being one of them. Such came out and really helped out as well. John Patton.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that my Patreon has had a number of newcomers, and it's directly because of people like Such and obviously yourself talking about it, John Patton, just there's too many people to thank, but it's been really overwhelming to see the support.
Well, and it's nice. It's nice that there's people coming out in support because I think that a lot of people don't realize. Well, they fall into one of two camps. Either they don't realize how much time this takes, even if it's your hobby, or they assume that it's your full time job and some production company somewhere is paying you. Neither of which is usually the case. you know, I know that, like, I work, I have a job. I for some strange reason decide to pour all this time into making every single video perfect, so it ends up being like an extra 30 hours a week or something like that. So it's nice to see the support, and of course these algorithm changes and the censorship changes are coming out right when I said to my patrons, well, maybe I will try to make this into a job. Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would love to be able to do it because, with the wife being in the military, we will be moving in about 18 months.
Mhm.
I will probably have to resign from my very awesome day job. It's a
Oh,
really good, yeah. But
no.
yeah, but if I could figure out a way to make it work, I would love to be able to do that. So, and maybe I'd try to do a second channel where I solely focus on non-controversial things and see what that does.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
So
tough. It's tough. And I watched this whole video recently about how, like, the newest algorithms especially favor like clickbait, basically. And so you don't want to like stoop down to that because that's just ugh.
yeah, I've done it a couple of times, and I've kind of got a little bit of friendly backlash from my
Feels
subscribers.
dirty.
I know, right? So, like, one of my videos was I said goodbye to my Glock, and everyone's like, "Mark got rid of his Glock. Oh my gosh, he's a Glock fanboy, and he's getting rid of it." And the internet was getting ready to melt down. And then I was like, "No, I just turned it in to get some stippling and a red dot on it." Suckers.
uh all right, so let me check out the chat here because I feel like I've neglected you guys. Let's see. Kunth. TH. So that I don't get pinged. Kunth will say. Says 9mm version of AK. Blasphemy. Abomination.
No, it is awesome. It is awesome. And oh, by the way, there is an actual AK version of a Russian version of a 9mm. So stuff it.
Kyle Sims says y'all need to get a half Asian lawyer. I get that as a Crowder reference.
Yes.
The Russians are coming. Something about Muhammad that I'm not going to read. Mr. Guns and Gear has given a ton of shout outs. I think
Yes.
I might have gotten one from him at one point. I'm not even sure. Captain Polly says he just subbed to you.
Yes,
So that's awesome.
appreciate it, Captain. Aye, aye.
Let's see. How long before you think we start to see a stark double standard to the YouTube changes? I don't think it'll be very long at all.
It's already happening because they're already demonetizing left-leaning liberal sites. So,
Really?
Oh yeah, freaking people are going to go after Carlos
Maza.
Monza. Yeah, people are going to go after him. He just painted a huge target on his back because anyone who is talking about there's one channel that is solely based on fighting white supremacy and calling out white supremacy, demonetized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. I mean, I know Maza himself isn't going anywhere, as I guess sneak peek into one of the things that I talk about in my video coming out this weekend is he's works for Vox, and Vox is one of the brands owned by Vox Media, which is a billion-dollar company that owns 6 other media companies. And that is what YouTube is turning into. And their newest policy talks about raising up these authoritative voices, they call it. And then they say right in the policy, we mean news outlets. Vox as much of a joke as it is considered a news outlet by some people. So
Yes. And,
uh,
and that's something that Ben Shapiro talked about just this week in his podcast. He talked about,
I love Shapiro.
I do too. I guess he's a Nazi though.
Oh yeah, I saw that on BuzzFeed. Yes.
So stupid. Anyway,
One of these things is not like the others.
exactly. But his podcast this week, he talked about how they are going to start pushing authoritative sources, and they're going to do so in a manner that is going to line up with the election, obviously
Yes.
next year, right? So instead of, let's say you go and watch Crowder or you watch Ben Shapiro, instead of seeing something that is very similar and would be recommended, all of a sudden it's going to be authoritative source to
Yep.
debunk the fake news and get out of here with that.
And what's interesting is I know that was a policy that they had mentioned a while back that they were going to start doing. It started last year sometime that they said that they were going to do that, and they tested it out. And I mean, what's interesting is I try really hard to be respectful, and I mean, I'm biased, but I don't think I'm particularly controversial. I might touch on some controversial topics, but I mean, I don't think I'm a controversial person. I have been called an extremist, but I don't think that I'm really all that controversial or extreme. But I've gotten comments that like, oh, right after I watched this video, something about Elizabeth Warren was suggested, or some news clip was suggested, and like it's happening on my channel. I guess
Mhm.
that I'm getting sandwiched between these authoritative uh, voices right now. So it's like, okay, so wait, I'm considered controversial or like borderline harmful, as they're calling it. And it was just it's strange. It's strange to get those comments, and it's like, okay, is that a fluke or are they doing it to me?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Before we go on, I wanted to say hey to Trashman4444. Everybody loves the trash man. He takes care of the trash, right? So he says Mikhail Kalishnikov was a god among men. And I also want to point out, sir, he was a tanker as well. So let's throw that out there,
Oh,
you infantry pukes,
if
right?
my mic wasn't plugged in, I would drop it.
Oh, there. Anyways, I just had to throw that in there. And Milspec guy and Izzy, hard tacos are the best tacos. Long is in there as well. So good to see you guys.
And this isn't me says hell with censorship. I agree. I totally agree. How does this channel affect your work, Liberty Doll? Which channel? I don't know. I don't understand. Sorry. Taco emojis. I love tacos. Clovertech says, what if smaller channels were to pitch in on the retainer fee for a lawyer? That could be a thing. I don't know. That didn't even occur to me, honestly. I just
Yeah.
kind of figured, do do do. Okay, I'll go along with it. Try to find a way around. I don't know.
Well, here's my question for you: is now that you are part of the Silver Playlist Club,
The
right?
1%. Not really.
But do you have access to a representative now, don't you?
If I do, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah, so supposedly once you hit, okay, so once you hit, this is, and I could be completely wrong about this, but once you hit 50,000 subscribers, you're supposed to be able to email somebody if you have questions.
Oh.
And then once you hit 1,000, you're supposed to be assigned a representative to, work with you on your behalf. If you have questions that you want to
Oh.
about your content or whatever, you're supposed to be able to go to someone
Well,
specifically.
if that is the case, then they're hiding. Because
I'm
let me
sure they
tell
are.
you, the only emails and things that I've been getting and people have been reaching out to me are lots of random people that want me to join their like game show social network or they wanted me to build a game show or the most recent one was join our special social network for celebrities like you, which, okay, and help us further UN goals of strengthening government. okay, you clearly don't know who I am.
I'm the one. I'm the one you don't want me to be in there. So
I got that and I just laughed and I was like, oh, maybe I should change it from the inside. No, not really. Not worth my time. It would never work. But no, I haven't heard from anyone from YouTube. I mean, it did take them an extra month about to review my channel to decide whether or not I got a play button. So I
yeah.
mean, maybe my representative is like, I don't know, sleeping on the job or went on some drunken bender and forgot. I don't know.
So
But
so
I am by myself.
when I hit 10,000 subscribers, it was like 2 months later. I got a congratulations, and I'm like at almost 12,000 now, guy. Thanks.
Oh. Um, I just want to dip in here real quick. This isn't me says hell with censorship. Oh, I read that one already, didn't I?
Mm.
I'm awesome. Well, I guess you get it read twice. I saw another one in here. Ian Moon says Vox had a walkout, and Tim Pool has a great breakdown. I saw that. I saw that they had a walkout. I was gonna include it in the video I was doing, but frankly, I talk about how my videos are usually like 4-page single spaced research essays. This one had gotten up to 6.5, so I was
Wow.
like, I have to stop.
Yeah.
Um,
So the
yeah,
Vox walkout and the whole Carlos Monza things are separately related. So
right.
yeah,
It's about a contract issue or something.
yes.
Because they were gonna fire some video producers, I guess. It would be funny if it was Mazza, but they're not gonna do that now, for sure. Sola Christus says, Liberty Doe, I'm sending you a super chat while I'm still legally allowed. God bless you. Thank you. I really hope that I don't get hit, but you never know. And Mandatory Carry says, get your own Discord accounts, please. And yes, I am a puddle pirate. Oh, maybe like because overseas. UN, you too. So actually, I have a Discord account. My patrons have access to it, and I never use it because
So
I forget about it. I just don't. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's
I-
like the story of my life.
I've got several people asking me to either join a Discord or create my own, and I'm just like, man, I can't even keep up with Facebook. You know,
Right?
I've got my focus is YouTube and Instagrams, and that's about it. So
Yeah. I try to do the whole Twitter thing, but then what happens is either I don't pay attention to it for a while, and then I get on it, and then I pay too much attention, and all of a sudden, like an hour's gone by, and I was like, oh man, I was supposed to do the thing, and I didn't do the thing. But I am pretty active on Twitter when I'm not busy. So yeah, if I can't handle those things, I couldn't do a Discord. Ugh. So the Liberty Cause says Discord is a cesspool. I had a Discord. The only reason I even know what Discord is because I was on a Discord for Pokemon Go when that was cool to like organize raid groups to go get Pokemon. Sola Christus again says Vox Day's real name is Teddy Spaghetti. Okay.
that's pretty awesome. He didn't get made fun of at all.
Right? Um, Okay, let's see. So I wanted to make sure that we touched on a little bit what just the shooting recently in Darwin, Australia, and how, well, by golly, they have all these gun laws and they have gun bans, and yet a guy on parole managed to get a shotgun and kill, I believe, 4 people and wound another one over the span of an hour
Yeah,
in like 5 different places.
not terrorism.
No, not terrorism. I did read somewhere that they said that he was hunting down a specific person, but I haven't seen anything else about that. But it is interesting. Like on the one hand, they always jump to terrorism and say, "Oh, it's terrorism," or "Oh, don't worry, it's not terrorism." But I feel like when they label everything immediately as terrorism, then they make I don't know they make gun violence sound even scarier, if that makes sense. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
You know, I, I was thinking about this. This is going to sound really bad. I was in the shower right before the live chat because I had to mow the yard.
But I thought you were watching Cops.
Got me. No, I was really sweaty because I was outside mowing the yard. But anyway, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself that no one cares about firearms. I can guarantee you that the Aussie government, the New Zealand government, all of that jazz, they don't care about firearms whatsoever. What they care about is utilizing words and militarizing words to create fear, then to create new forms of laws or restrictions to take away our ability to live freely and to allow the people that are in power the ability to control how we think and how we vote to keep them in power longer. That's my conspiracy tinfoil hat thing going on, but I think that's really kind of the direction that media is pushing, not only with when it comes to firearms, but other hot topic issues that I don't really care to get into, like abortion. But they militarize those words like hate speech and Nazi and homophobe and all of this stuff to create a environment that allows them to change the dynamic in their favor. That's how I see it.
Right. I mean, and that makes sense. I mean, they've been doing that for a long time. I mean, look back at when assault weapon first became an issue in the media in the 80s, after the shooting in California, I believe it was. And there's even a pamphlet by Josh Sugarman, who was the head of one of the gun control groups at the time, saying like, oh, well, most people don't realize that military rifles aren't civilian rifles and that civilian rifles can't do full auto, but let's just call it assault weapon and confuse people. That's like literally right there in the tactics of the pamphlet. So, and that's what they did. And so that's how they made so many more people afraid of general sporting rifles that most people don't understand, are not as powerful as even hunting rifles, but are more scared of because they look scarier and have like this scary word attached to them.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because it's even in pop culture, um, one of my, dare I say, how do you call it? Your little sins, your little guilty pleasures. That's what I'm looking for. Is I like to watch the show Chicago PD. Don't ask me why I like that show. For some reason, I gravitate towards it. I love that show. And every time the intelligence department gets into a firefight with some gangs or something, the freaking fully automatic AR-15s get pulled out. And I'm like, that's not even a thing. There's no gangbangers in freaking Chicago with fully automatic weapons. I mean, there might be a few outliers, but I mean, for the most part, it's all freaking pistols or I don't know, freaking Kel-Tec sub 2000s or something like that. Something ridiculous. So, yeah, Dave Matthews. Oh my goodness, David Matthews jumping in there says, "Say goodbye to your reputation. Tundra Tactical is in the live
I
stream
just
chat."
saw that and I was like, should I genuinely be worried or is this an inside?
No, it's just Tyler's a good dude. He just has a tendency to black out from time to time on his live streams because he drinks too much.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm a therapist, so like it works out. It's fine. I'm used
Oh,
to
good.
that.
You're in good company then, Tyler.
Unfortunately, I'm on a wait list, so sorry, not taking new clients. um, but yeah, so someone said, how did this guy even get the gun? So I think it's interesting that okay, guns are banned in Australia, and according to the gun control advocates in the U.S. Oh, well, the only reason people get illegal guns is because they get them from nearby places with lax gun laws. Or, because no one ever steals firearms. There is no black market for firearms, right? So I think it's interesting that I'm reading the articles and they're like, well, police say that he could have stolen the gun as far back as 1997, but we don't really know. And I feel like that's just something that they're throwing out there to try to make people more comfortable and to try to be like, oh, but we promise that our laws work.
Exactly. So it's interesting, because with Chicago, they're always pointing to uh, uh, Gary, Indiana. They're
Yep.
always saying, "Oh, it's Gary, Indiana. There, that's where all the firearms." It's Australia. They're a freaking island. Where is it coming from? Seriously?
And I saw that. So I was reading an article earlier. I believe it was the one from CBS News. It was one of them. It was talking about, well, oh, but Australia is the example that everyone points to for gun control laws, and their gun control laws have been so great, and gun homicides have been reduced, and gun suicides have been reduced, and da 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 da. But you know what? When you Google and you just look at statistics on suicide in Australia, suicide is actually the #1 cause of death for people in Australia between the ages of 15 and 44.
Hmm.
So, okay. Let's see. And right now, the overall suicide rate in 2015 was 12.6 per 100,000 in Australia. I don't know what that amounts to, but it says it's the highest rate in over 10 years.
Wow.
Um,
Well, that's the thing. Most people are not going to do the research as far as uh, suicide rates in Australia. They don't think that that's the #1 cause. They think that freaking dingoes come and get your baby, or something like that. Maybe a dingo ate your baby, right? That's my like one Australia joke. But no one's going to go and research the facts. That's the bottom line. And that's one of the things that just infuriates me. I
mhm.
get sucked into it as well, just reading the headline. Oh, look at that. And that's the end of it. And
Yeah.
I'm working very diligently to dig into the facts because, again, Ben Shapiro will point this out that there'll be this article that is, just trashing whatever topic. And then you read all the way down to like the 13th paragraph, which is like one of the last paragraphs of the article. And they're like, yeah, but not really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well.
We're back into the era of yellow journalism, and I remember being in like my social studies class in 8th grade and learning about how bad yellow journalism was. And I mean, that's what we're back to. But it's this sensationalism that sells. Well, I mean, they don't sell papers anymore. I guess sells media subscriptions. Though, let me tell you, I ain't paying $50 a month for the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times. It ain't happening. There are
Exactly.
there are plenty of other people that'll be like, well, here we're going to quote the New York Times, and fine, I'll get it from there.
Yeah. So, what was one of the articles that or the news? There's a magazine that, The Economist.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm a history major. I graduated from Kansas State University with a history degree, and one of my favorite professors um, encouraged me to take a subscription to The Economist and start reading it, and that would really help out with my just overall knowledge of everything going on in the world and give me some historical background and stuff like that. But I started reading half the stuff and I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. I have no background reference. I have no historical reference. They're talking about stuff that is just completely way outside of my wheelhouse. And I just finally quit. And that's one of the unfortunate things is because I think that I don't know what their political leanings are, The Economist is, but I enjoyed reading some of the articles. I just couldn't grasp the information. And I felt that if they dumbed it down a little bit for us poorers, that they would increase their subscription ships. I don't know. So anyway.
But so going back to the thing about like reading the headline and not reading the rest of it. I mean, I find myself doing that a lot of times these days, especially when it's articles about new gun laws, because at this point, and maybe it's just because this is what I do for my channel, or maybe it's just because I'm in Massachusetts and expect everything to be terrible all of the time. But like, I don't know, like all the new gun laws all the time. They all seem the same at this point. Like I'm not shocked by any of them anymore. I'm like, oh, this place is banning this thing. Well, yeah, okay, so is everyone else. I mean, and that's sort of a terrible attitude to have, but I guess it's just, I don't know, a little pessimism of, everyone's doing this now. But one of the recent ones that caught my eye was a bunch of headlines saying, oh, Trump's going to ban suppressors. And I was like, really? Well, I guess that's not entirely surprising because of all the whole bump stock thing. But, so I read the article and it's just like he went to the UK and for some reason talked to Piers Morgan, of all people, who, us gun people love, and sat down with him. And Piers Morgan was like, "Oh, would you ban suppressors?" And he was like, "I would seriously think about it." And that was it. And I know that we can't really give much credence to what Trump says, but I mean, what do you think about him? This was actually a requested topic as far as, would he ban suppressors? Do you think that he's been a good Second Amendment advocate or not, et cetera, et cetera?
He better not ban suppressors because my suppressor's in FFL jail right now. So
Uh-oh.
I'm on the clock, right? Literally right now. I'm waiting for that time to lapse so I can rescue my suppressor out of the jail. That is the Flying Monkey Gunworks gun safe. So uh, I'm so Trump is a hammer and
Yes.
he's searching for a nail, right? And sometimes he hits a nail and sometimes he hits a baby, right? And the suppressor
Accurate
thing, the
facts.
suppressor is, I think, a baby. I think that he is just cowering to what people want to hear at the same time that he is, just trying to, deflect. I think that's
Mm,
really what he's trying to do right now is just deflect all of this negative press that's coming his way. And he's at this point now that he'll just say anything that he thinks would be popular.
yeah,
Now, with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if it wasn't another bump stock thing, where he's
right.
like, "Hey, ATF, fix the problem," and they just arbitrarily reword laws that says,
Mm,
"Okay, now you're a felon if you have one."
right.
I wouldn't be one bit surprised, and I can guarantee you, um, I if that happens, I would not be surprised if there is something seriously that happens. What that is, I don't know. I'm not going to say there's going to be some uprising or something like that, but I would not be surprised if there is a massive outcry
Hmm.
for the RNC to nominate a new candidate in
Wow.
2020. Um,
Okay.
I have no basis of that. I have no
Mhm.
reason to believe that, but
See, I don't know how popular suppressors really even are because they're illegal in Massachusetts, like everything else. So no one here has them. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, are they that popular? I mean, I know that the headlines and the newspaper articles are like, oh, well, they're used in mass shootings all the time, and they're not.
mhm.
But is that like a big ticket or popular item in other places?
It is. It really is.
Okay.
Right. So in the firearms world, in freer states than than we're, I
All
hate.
of them
I,
except for California and New York.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to. It was not a dig, but like in the state of Kansas, suppressors is not a issue, right? A matter of fact, there is, I believe, it's being talked about in this state either House or Senate about allowing hunters to use suppressors for hunting,
Mhm.
uh, to 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 just be polite to
Makes
people who
sense.
don't want to hear gunshots, right?
Mhm.
And in Europe, it is encouraged that hunters use suppressors, right? Um, it's obviously a little bit densely populated area, but anyway, so yeah, in states like Kansas, Texas, Utah, Idaho, these states that are champions of gun rights, or thereabouts. Yeah, suppressors are a thing. So I've got one downstairs right now,
Okay.
um, that I use with my Ruger 1022.
Mhm.
It's what my daughter shoots. She absolutely loves it.
Is it
I've
the
got
takedown or the regular?
No, it's just a regular. Yeah, yeah. It was. I bought that. Actually, got it through a trade. Thanks, Drew. So, my buddy Drew and I, we did some trading, and he he got me one of those with this nice little stock, this aftermarket stock that goes with it. And when my daughter got old enough, I started letting her shoot it with the suppressor on. She really likes it. She has
Oh,
fun. Yeah, she's crack shot too. She's really good. Um, so, but
that's awesome.
yeah. So your question about Trump being pro 2A? No, I don't believe he is. You know. Um,
I mean, probably more so than Obama, but I mean, if that's the yardstick that we're using,
Well, the question would be when you say pro 2A, who do you mean? Pro 2A from a constitutionalist aspect or pro 2A from a firearms business aspect?
oh, that's a good question because those are two different things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because if we go by like who sold more guns, obviously Obama because he was
exactly.
scaring everybody all the damn time. Um, I mean, I remember watching like in the early days of like the gun grapes on Iraq Veteran 88, 88, then being like, "Oh, Obama's going to ban this. Better go out and buy it now." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, sir."
Oh, wait, I can't do that. Darn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did have some pre-ban
Ah,
mass compliant things for like a split second. But I mean, I guess from a constitutionalist, but I mean, I guess there hasn't been a constitutional 2A president for a long time.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, people like to. I see stuff on Instagram all the time that shows Ronald Reagan and has some famous quote and everything. I'm like, no, Ronald.
I mean, maybe pre getting shot, Reagan,
Yeah, maybe.
or he was
But
like brainwashed by the CIA, according to the conspiracy theories.
yeah, yeah. So, no, I thought they completely re-altered. They altered his mind, his brain waves. I thought that's what they did.
Who knows, MK Ultra and all that stuff.
The Manchurian candidate, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, he wasn't. I mean, even Reagan wasn't 100% friendly. I mean, he's quoted as saying, "No American needs an AK-47 to
Mhm.
defend themselves." Right? And I'm like, shoot, yes, they do.
What
They need
about did isn't that what the roof Koreans had? Didn't they have AK-47s?
no. I wish they did.
Oh,
They had the Ruger. Oh, don't. Oh,
oh,
it's
I'm
right
way
on tip.
off.
Yeah, it was the Mini 14. Ruger
Okay.
Mini 14 is what they had, which is a variation of an AR. Basically, it's a AR-15 with a M1 Garand action. That's what
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
All right.
So
I
yeah,
must have been thinking of the memes that were like, "Oh, we need roof Koreans with AK-47s."
yeah, we do. Yes. Tell you what, civil arrest comes down. If the zombie apocalypse happens and my buddy Drew can get to my house, you're going to see some white freaking roof Koreans real quick. I can tell you that right
So
now.
you already have your draft picks for the zombie apocalypse because we also have our draft picks already for the zombie apocalypse.
We'll go with yes. I've actually never done that, but actually that sounds really
Yeah,
fun.
well, we have this guy that a friend of ours, and he mows our lawn, and he shoots guns, and he also he's a farmer. He grew up on a farm, and so knows all this stuff about agriculture and like edible plants that grow in the woods. Like he's the perfect pick.
Oh
He
yeah,
works on small engines. Like he is our man. If the apocalypse hits, he is the first person we're going and picking up.
absolutely, absolutely. That would be really good. And that's one of the things that I'm really trying to start working on is understanding of how to purify water with using nothing but a t-shirt and some charcoal or whatever.
Mhm.
How to find edible plants, how to be better at first aid, and plug in holes instead of making holes. So that's kind of some areas I'd like to improve on myself.
Yeah, I did the whole well, I mean not too heavily, but the bug out thing for a little while. So we got like the Ruger 1022 takedown because that could be taken around. We got some dehydrated food and then learned we were both allergic to gluten and had 10 cans of chili mac sitting in the closet.
Mm,
So I mean that won't help us now. But and the waterproof matches and the little like flint and all that. We have all the stuff. But as to how to purify water with a rubber band and a toothpick or something. No idea.
Yeah,
I
straight up
guess
MacGyver stuff. Yeah.
that's on the list of must learn.
hmm Yeah. So I really need to start brushing up on that. I know that Such, he does a great channel called The Sensible Prepper. You know,
Ah,
yeah, he has a second channel. So that he talks about how to, just be prepared for anything. I mean, it could be as simple as a natural disaster. The power goes out, in the town that I live in, before I moved away for the military. In 2008, we had a tornado that went through the town. It went directly over my apartment building, took down trees.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. My roommate and my son, we were in the bathtub together with the mattress laying over top of us.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And we were out of power for 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, life really
Yeah.
takes a new turn without
Well,
running.
back in I think it was 2011, June 2011. Yeah, because they just had like the 8-year anniversary or whatever. There was so I mean Massachusetts like hardly ever gets weather like that, and there were 6 tornadoes that hit my hometown. I wasn't there because I was off in grad school at the time, but yeah, and my God, like they didn't have enough homeless shelters for everyone because it's a big city where I grew up, and they didn't have power for at least a week. And some places it took 2 weeks. Some places they just like didn't even bother with and demolished and put a giant casino on top of. But yeah, so I mean those are important skills to have, and even it doesn't even have to be a disaster. I mean around here we had the Boston Marathon bomber when that whole thing was going down. They like shut things down,
hmm
and you weren't allowed to be on the streets. And I mean there was photos of like police officers bringing people milk because they couldn't leave their house to go get milk. So I mean, I guess it's good to have some backup knowledge and supplies, even in
Yeah,
case of rando martial law in Boston.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like I said, just sensible things. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I really liked Doomsday Preppers, the show.
Mhm.
Yeah, they showed some people that were probably not the best candidates to own firearms. But they also brought up a lot of great information. Like if you live in an urban environment, what do you do if there's an EMP
Mhm.
or if the grid just goes down or whatever the case may be? I told my wife and my daughter, I've drilled it into their heads. What is the very first thing that we do as soon as we lose power or something bad happens? We're filling up the bathtub with
Yep.
water.
Yep.
You
First thing.
so just simple things like that. Or what happens if you have to get out of a city, right? If you live
Oh.
in New York City, or you live in Boston, Philadelphia, Miami, Kansas City,
Mhm.
Denver, you got to get out of the city. uh I don't think a car is the best way to do it. So you'd better be ready to hoof it a couple, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles, you know and one of the episodes I remember watching, there was this girl she's like, yeah, I'm going to hoof it out of town tonight. We're going to walk 20 miles. And I'm like, your first time, not going to work out. And it didn't. So, but
Yeah.
it does what I liked about it was it raised awareness
Hmm.
and asked you to start thinking about things differently.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so we are just after 8 o'clock, and my regulars know that I go and play Dungeons and Dragons after this because I'm super cool.
Hey, you know
So
what? Don't hate on Dungeons and Dragons here, guys.
I used to swear that I would never play because um I would go into game shops and I would see all the guys like in their hoodies like hunched over and their like butts hanging out of their pants, and they'd be like, I walk northwest by 10 paces, and they would do it in like these accents, and I was like, oh hell no. But a couple of my friends asked me to play, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And what actually happened is actually really great because I go there and there's the two friends that asked me, and they are like raging hardcore liberals, but everyone else is somehow conservative or libertarian. And so like we're doing the like, okay, well, so we're in a survival situation, so let's make sure that we loot the bodies, and like it's actually really fun. We've played mostly like urban scenarios so far, and I am this is the first one that's like high fantasy, but I'm always like the gun runner
You,
in
you,
the
you know,
urban ones.
you know what you should do? Just throw this out there one time and see what everybody's expressions. So if you get like attacked by
Mm-hmm.
whatever and you kill it, just say like, okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to cut off its head and put it on a pike. All right. And just set it right over here so no one knows not to fuck with us, right?
You know what? Maybe I'll do that tonight.
Okay. Just to see what just purely to see what people's expressions are, and just they'll be like, whoa, she
Well,
just went David and Goliath on us.
I was the only one then when we were playing before that I was like, well, dude, let's loot the bodies. Let's take their guns. Da, da, da. And they were like, what? Like they had never, I'm like, that's what you do when you play Fallout or something is you loot the bodies. And so now it's a joke. Whenever we kill something, everyone's like, loot the body, loot the body. I started something.
You said Fallout, and for some reason I thought of Halo, and then I immediately went to the player on player and the whole teabagging thing that was a big thing.
Oh, video games.
Oh, video
That's
games.
when I had time for video games. All right, so I'm gonna go through and get the last super chats out. Trashman4444 says check Japan's rates of suicide. I know they're really high, and they have the whole having to have like suicide nets around the buildings and things. Let's see. And I thought I saw something else. Oh yeah. Someone says, literally someone that's their name, says Japan's suicide rate is 26 per 100,000 in 2019. So yeah, that seems pretty high.
Logan Paul knows all about it.
Oh, burn. That is the first and only Logan Paul video I ever watched because he just seemed obnoxious, and that confirmed it.
Yeah, I've never watched one of his videos. I've seen clips of his videos on other people's videos, and that's enough for me.
He just like a lot of the cool little millennial YouTubers now, it's just lots of yelling and just frankly dumb stuff.
Yeah.
From what I gathered.
Totes.
Totes my goats. Ian Moon says that Jersey sucks too. That is true. It's like all of New England and then like California. It's just crap for guns. And let's see. The Milspec guy says just for bringing up Rube Koreans.
He's a good dude. He's actually incredibly funny. So if he writes for Tundra Tactical, he's their writer. So if you ever need help writing, coming up with a script for one of your videos, he would be more than happy to help, I'm sure.
Okay, cool. For volunteering people against their will.
Oh no, I do it all the time. He's perfectly fine with it. So
let's see. And I think that's it for the super chats. Oh my goodness, there's so many people in here. I'm always amazed at how many people are in the chat and just like talking, and I don't know, it's really cool. FTB FPV says, what edition? I don't know what that refers to because I'm bad at checking chats. I really need to get better at that. Someone says AD&D is cool. It is. I'm having fun with it. Roll a 1 on a D20 tonight. Don't say that because that's how I died last week. Second edition D&D or bust. We are playing, I believe, 3.5 right now. Shadowrun, better than D&D. I have played Shadowrun. Unfortunately, it was my first tabletop RPG, and so the rules were a lot, but that's where I was a gun runner. I had a cybernetic eye. Someone says never played anything other than Legend of Zelda because Legend of Zelda is UPB. universally preferable behavior. It's a Molyneux joke, but yes, Legend of Zelda is awesome. It was my first video game experience. Don't forget to cut off the body and salt the pieces to increase your available.
What just happened?
David Matthews says, I guess in reference to looting the bodies, don't forget to cut up the body and salt the pieces to increase your available food supplies. So I think we're about to get attacked by some dragon dudes, so I'll give that a shot. I feel like I did that to humans. That would be weird.
That's interesting. Wouldn't you get the shakes because you get like some type of parasite from eating human flesh?
Maybe.
I mean, it was in Book of Eli, so if it's in the movie, then it's.
I mean, like it can't be like I don't know. It can't be like mentally fun unless you're like Ed Gein or something. Or Jeffrey Dahmer, I guess. Trashman4444 says, go slay 'em all, doll. I will. Stephen A says, heart of the dice. And wow, Patrick Hall, thank you. That was very generous. No message with that, but thank you to Patrick Hall. All right. And 3.5 for life. And I do not eat roof Koreans. I do not. And now we're talking about cannibalism. And third IQ, also shout out. So I told you that we were only keeping you for an hour, and it is an hour and 10 minutes now. I have to get going, eat my supper, and all that fun stuff. So thank you so much for being my second ever guest. This was very exciting. I think I did a little bit better this time, and I'm seeing my picture and it looks like it's better. So I figured out, people told me there's a thing with bandwidth, and I don't know what that means. As Clover Tech pointed out, I am not technologically advantaged at all, but I figured it out. And mandatory carry says to cook the meat thoroughly. Oh, this is excellent. Recommendations on cannibalism. That is what my channel has become.
Congratulations.
About a crackhead pancake. Oh man. Well, and I'm not all that far from Brockton, so I mean that would be easy enough to get. Massachusetts joke. Anyways, again, thank you for being on the channel. It was a really great time. I'd love to have you back anytime.
Anytime. You just give me, if you can give me about an hour's notice, I can make things happen if I need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to give everyone else a final shout out of where to find all your content and all that cool stuff.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I saw in the chat rooms a lot of people subscribing to the channel. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. If I didn't say thank you in the chat, I'm sorry. But again, you can find me on YouTube, Fit and Fire, Instagram, Fit and Fire 78. The Twitters, you can find me Fit and Fire, Facebook Fit and Fire as well. And David Matthews says sober Fit and Fire is a very different interview from drunk Fit and Fire. So I was may or may not have been on a live stream a couple of weeks ago where I had been drinking profusely 2 hours before the stream. So it was very fun. And
planned or unplanned?
A little both. A little both. So, yeah, anyway, this has been a great night. I really had a lot of fun. And anytime you need a guest, feel free to give me a holler.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You're fun to have on.
Yeah. So I try to keep things a little lively. So, but no, thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody in the chat. Thanks, guys, for following the channel. Sure do appreciate it.
All right. So thanks, everyone, for watching. I have to say tuning in now because I'm on iTunes and things. This won't be on iTunes because probably no one wants to listen to that. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. And drum roll, thanks for helping me to spread the message of liberty. Good night.
Bye, y'all.